should I start? Okay. Want to read the first paragraph and then we'll get into the... Okay, let's go. Let's do
So I
this.
burned some brownie points, so when you go around later, you can skip me.
Oh no, 30-second elevator speech for all non-new people. All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, while many of us may not think of job interviews as a presentation, it may be the first presentation we ever make. It may also be the most critical. With a job interview, we are there to sell ourselves, not just ideas. First impressions are extremely important, and like presentations, we should properly prepare ourselves for the interview. Below are the 5 stages I recommend you use when preparing for your interview.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Do you have one, Jeff? Come on, Jeff. Tell me you don't have one, buddy. All right, there we go. Any comments about that first paragraph? I think it's pretty straightforward, but what do I know? That's why I'm opening up to the group. This is a point of discussion. Sell ourselves, not just ideas. First impressions are extremely important. All right, this thing jumps right into the interview. That's what the 5 steps are. I'm going to take it a step back, and we've talked about this. All right, the minute you get through that door, what should you do and what shouldn't you do? Give me some feedback. The minute you, not the interview, the minute you walk through that company's front door, what should you do and what shouldn't you do?
Say hi to the receptionist.
That's right. I'll take it a step further. That's good. That's good.
Never say anything negative.
Yeah, you better believe it. What? Great. Come on, keep them coming now. Come on, there's more than that.
Being dressed properly before you come in.
Being dressed properly. Very good.
Don't take your cell phone.
Bingo. That's a key. Don't take your cell phone. Leave it in the car. Okay. Any others?
Smile often.
Smile often. That's right. Because that receptionist or that executive assistant that you meet, you better be nice to that person. Because the chances are that person either works for or is a close person to the hiring manager. And guess what? You want to treat her nasty? You want to be abrupt, or him? You want to be abrupt with that individual? Guess what? You're burning a bridge before you ever get into the interview. Smile, be nice, bond. I always do. Relationship. How are you today? Oh, I'm having a rough day. Well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then you actually interject some of your stuff, maybe not on employment issues, but just in general issues about life. Okay? I take it to that degree. That person, let's put it this way. If I don't get the job, it's not going to be because that person isn't in my corner. That person has got to be in your corner. Major league. Okay? Because if you're on the line, if there's a border there or you're on the line or something, that hiring manager will go back to that person and say, hey, what'd you think of her or him? And there you have it. And they do it almost all the time. Not 20% of the time, folks. I'd say, in my opinion, that probably goes on 65% of the time, 70% of the time. They want that person's feedback. Leave that cell phone out. Be dressed cordially. Say hi and be friendly. Build a relationship if you can with that individual. That's what you got to do before you ever get in to see that hiring manager or getting involved in that interview process. Yes, ma'am.
Something that I try to do, I think I learned it the hard way, you need to go in with copies of your resume.
Excuse me. Go ahead. Keep on going.
Get copies of the resume, your references. I carry my transcripts with me. All my information on past jobs, addresses, phone numbers, all that.
Okay.
Because I find I have had to use it numerous times.
Did you mention references?
Yes.
Okay. That's always good to have.
Good. Good. Any other suggestions about the pre-interview process? Men, have your ties on before you get into the building. I'm guilty of this. I'll put my time at the car occasionally, especially when I worked at West, because it was a business casual. how's the last thing to go on, but really, have them on prior to getting through that front door. Actually, people say, don't even do it in a parking lot, because people look at you at the window. Now, what does that mean? I'm not quite sure. But that's
Means they're looking at you out the window.
maybe you're right, but people take it to a degree where, hey, they're passing judgment. You're not ready. You're not prepared for the interview all the way down to the tie. So
And
people are wackos. Yes, sir.
Time your schedule so you can demonstrate that you're timely. If it's an 11 o'clock appointment, be there calm, collected, walk in 10 minutes ahead of time. Ties on, notepads ready with all your information.
Major key.
And you relax.
Major key.
In fact, I'd even say 10:45. Be there for the 11 a.m.
If
interview.
nothing else, maybe you just get out sooner than the next guy.
Yeah. Major key. Promptness. Little early. I'm on the early side.
Yeah.
If I'm late, I'm frazzled. If I'm early, I get to, okay, take a deep breath, relax, which you all need to do, because we all get nervous. Most of us get nervous on interviews, okay? And then you get to set your own pace. You go in, and for me, it works great. I'm just very relaxed. And then I build that relationship with that receptionist or executive assistant, whoever it may be, and that's what you do. Perfect. That was the one thing we didn't
Speaking
mention.
of being early, I understand this ideal would be in that 10 to 15 minute window of early.
Mhm.
And they've spoken about people being half an hour early or an hour early.
That's a little different.
Excessively early
Right.
is actually a huge turnoff.
Right, no, I agree.
So we want to make sure we can.
Right, now, I think 10 to 15 minutes is okay. I don't think there's a problem with that. Half hour to hour, I think is a big problem. Like, you didn't get your appointment time straight.
And if you're not familiar or where the offices that you're going to be interviewing, you may want to try to drive there before, the day before, just so you know where it is.
Yeah,
Because if you're in a big company, yeah, you get to a big company and a Google map may not help you. It may get you to that location, that campus, but we're in the campus, so it's always best to really know where you need to go.
Sometimes the Google Maps can be wrong.
Well, that's true too.
Slightly, sometimes.
Yeah, well, I agree. That's why I use my Garmin. That's never wrong.
Yeah, I went wrong one time.
Huh?
Even the
I'm
directions
kidding.
that they gave you to get there, from somebody who works there.
Oh, yeah.
They may have painted a picture in your mind that's completely different.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right. Let's see. I'm going to start with Miss Beebe on the first paragraph, and let's go around this side of the room to read.
Okay. Here are the 5 stages of the interviewing process. Preparation. Learn as much about the company as you can before your interview. Find out what they do, what they make, and what kind of services they provide, and determine if your skills can fit with what they do. Determine what you can offer the company. Arrange and confirm the time for your interview. Make sure you arrive early, don't be late. Ask for directions when you confirm your appointment if needed. Make a list of what questions you want to ask them. More importantly, make a list of those questions you anticipate they might ask you, and decide how you will answer those questions. You then are prepared for how to answer them.
Okay, we kind of touched some of this, but what about the part about learning about the company? Everybody in sync with that? And to what degree do you want to learn about the company? Feedback, please. You got to have some ideas here.
I usually go to Wikipedia.
That's cool. That works.
Most companies have their own websites.
That's right. Well, I don't care about the website's important. It's the content that you're focusing in on. Because you need to be able to be in a position to spit that content back to the interviewer. Well, why do you want to do that? Because he knows then you did your homework and you're really interested in this position. Now, what's some of the content? You guys tell me what you think's important.
Some of the basic things I think you should know are just a very short overview of the history. You should know when the company was founded and what it was that their core business was and maybe how they've changed it.
Or is. I think was and is. Very important. Anything else? No other suggestions? What's that?
The product to sell.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that would help.
That's right. Well, what widget are they selling? Critical.
The service.
Whether it's a service or it's a piece of hardware or software or toy or whatever, it doesn't matter. What is their core business? Know that. How big are they? How big is this company? Are they public? Are they private? Okay. When did the company first? When did they first get into business? What year? Okay. You want to know these details. How many employees are there? Right? All nice little tidbits that they eat up if you know them. Because then you're saying, you're wearing it on your sleeve, I want this job and I know a lot about your organization. And they appreciate that. I haven't met an interviewer that did it. What else? What else should you research?
If you can talk to someone who already works in a company.
Informational interview. For those people that know what an informational interview is, that's talking to somebody that works in that company and gets to know the culture of the company. What kind of culture is the company? What kind of problems do they have? Now, you can't get that on a webpage. That's where the informational interview comes in. What kind of problems do they have? You know why? You find out the problems and you slyly fit yourself into part of that solution. Slyly. Not I mean devious, but I just mean matter of fact. All right? But that's important to see if you can't find an inside contact in that company as far as an informational interview is concerned. What else? Anything else? Not the other things. I'm not thinking about everything.
Knowing where you wanted to go, probably, like, oh, I know 10 years from now you guys want to expand your business and how I can, do that for you and issue.
Very good. That's right. Are they in
wanna sell your
expansion
point,
mode?
yeah.
Right? No, it's perfect. Are they expanding? Fit yourself into how you can envision yourself assisting them in their expansion. Not that a lot of companies are expanding, but there are companies expanding today, believe it or not, in certain areas. What else?
Similar to what was just mentioned, but what does the company do overall? And in the area that they're going to be hired in, what do they do specifically? And how does that relate to the bigger company picture?
Perfect. Yeah. Good suggestion. Yeah, really good suggestion. Yeah. And things like how big are they? Public, private, stock price if they're public. I know as a point of communication, I know your stock went up the last few weeks. Because you can get that easy, right? Go to the website and they got a stock tracker. Most big companies do, or even small, I think, if they're public. Or you can look their symbol up on the NASDAQ or whatever else it is out. What is it, NASDAQ? And
Just do a Google search in their symbol and it'll come up.
there you go, bingo.
Yeah, you can get, if it's a public company, you can get their profitability. and all
Right,
that.
exactly, and that's a big talking piece.
You'll be able to download annual reports, everything.
What's that?
Can you run this at 5 second time?
Run what?
What you're talking about right now?
Oh, if they're public, they have a
The
symbol.
stock and stuff.
The
Yeah.
stock symbol.
Oh,
For example, Walgreens has a stock symbol of WAG. You enter that in as a Google search, you will get their current price and the history over a period of time. It'll show a little chart going up and down, shows who the directors are, who's the management team, download stock related information, annual reports. And that's just in the Google screen. That's not even going on the company website.
So you will find that first information on the company website?
No, you just do a Google search, you'll find it there. You can go to the company website and find it,
yeah.
but just doing a Google search, you'll find a lot.
Good at Fidelity, it's a financial company.
I just remember all that stuff.
You should be writing
Just
that
listen
stuff
to the
down.
tape again.
I know, when you go to that interview, I mean, and what you're saying, I couldn't,
Well,
honestly, I couldn't, and I
Well,
can't
not-
remember that kind of stuff.
well, that's okay.
Depends on what
I
kind
mean,
of positions they're applying for. If you are financial or business, you have to know those. If like anything other than business, probably not, a mean or.
yeah, but it's good communication to know some of it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying to know every drop of what I communicated to you, but you need to know some of it because you need to show them that you're interested in the company and the organization and the job. Simple as that. Yes, sir.
If you bought $2,000 worth of their stock, should you mention it at any point? Just even a slight mention, say, hey, I
I
bought.
don't know. What do you think, Jeff? That's a tough one. I haven't.
I have some
I
shares
would.
in my, all right. Sorry, my voice is.
That's a good one. I don't know.
I don't know, that's a great one, I don't know either.
Kinda like,
Huh?
I just bought stock in your company, like. you-
So give me a job.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, see, it's kind
I
of like,
think-
okay, I just bought stock in your company. I want a job now. Hello, let's
Yeah,
let me
Like,
back
maybe if
in.
you started like to help found it or
Yeah.
something, maybe, but.
You can say it without saying that. I followed your stock for a while. I'm aware of the company, the
Yeah.
direction that you're moving. I'd like to be a part of that exciting momentum.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to help you along that exciting moment.
Right.
I don't want to be a part of it. I want to help you
That's
move
pretty
there.
good. All right, any other suggestions on preparation? What else should we do? Anything else?
Have a plan for the rain. Have the raincoat in the backseat of the car, have the umbrella in there.
Yeah?
Just in case.
That's a good one.
Get
I agree.
get a haircut if you.
Well, it goes back to the dress. Dress appropriately. Dress for the job. Okay? Okay. All right. Where are we going now? Introduction.
Introduction, make sure your initial non-verbal contact is positive. For example, smile when you first see the person interviewing you. Have a firm handshake and establish good eye contact when talking. You be the first one to start off the conversation. Go prepared with your list of specific questions to ask them about the job and the company. Don't forget to bring the questions with you.
Well, I don't know. Jeff, do you go in prepared with questions handwritten out?
Yes.
Oh. I'll memorize them. I won't bring them. Yes.
Is it okay to take notes? Then, like, because
You lose eye contact.
this is
And I
But
think
you know,
it's-
they take notes when they're interviewing you.
No, my memory's not that good.
I don't
usually
take notes.
I'll take and put I'll write notes. I'll take
I act
and
like I got this photographic memory when I can't remember my name sometimes. It's weird. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff.
no, I'm just saying that I have a written, typed up list of questions
Oh,
that I want to take and go over, and then if they're not answered throughout the conversation, because an interview is like a conversation. It's really,
Mhm.
yeah, it's question and answer, but they really want to get to know you and what you are like, because a lot of times, yes, they have a set of criteria that they're looking to fill, but that could fill maybe 20% of their requirements. The other 80% is, okay, are you going to fit here? What's your personality like? So that's where it's conversational.
And Mike, everyone has a photographic memory. Some people are just out of film.
thanks for making me feel better. You were saying?
I struggle to maintain eye contact lots of times because when I'm trying to think of an answer to something I just did just now, I looked off into space trying to think of what I'm going to say next.
Yeah, try not to
So
do
it's
that.
like I have to make a concentrated effort to.
And that's just the reason. That's just the reason I tell people, because I'm the same way that you are. I probably should have covered this. Before I ever get to that interview, at home, I'm looking at the top 50 to 100 most frequently asked questions. So I'll know what to say, because guess what? I got it down. I studied, I looked at those questions, I prepared mentally, and there's nothing that they're not going to ask me. And I believe you may get an oddball idiot that asks you some stupid, obscene question. Okay? In most cases, not. Okay? You study those questions. All right? I personally, I don't want it to be manufactured, but I'm on the borderline of memorizing.
At least want to be thinking about it.
Yes, and those questions, when we have them here, top 50, I think, is on our website, if I'm not mistaken. Just go to our website, print them out, start studying them. You've got to be mentally prepared. What is he going to ask, or what is she going to ask that I am not prepared for? It's going to be Zippo. So you go in there with a whole new level, in 90% of the cases, maybe 95, whole new level of confidence. There's nothing, because I myself have to get psyched. I mean, I can't go in flat. If I go in flat, I'll fall on my face. I got to mentally, prior to getting there, be prepared. Mentally. Not just with the questions, but pumped to be there. And I'm not saying that's good for everybody, but it works for me. So prepare yourself even before you get at home, get those top 50, okay? So you won't have that problem, sir. So you won't have the issue. All right, comment. Somebody else had a comment on that?
I get a comment, sort of,
That's okay.
about being prepared for the interview.
Mhm.
I don't think, say, we might be interviewing 10 companies, but you don't have to get so desperate that you want to work for that company, because you might not be a good match.
Right, but see, and you're right, sir, and the chances are you may not be a good match, but I won't know that after I believe I meet with that hiring manager.
Yeah, right.
So I've got to prepare the
I
same
mean-
way I prepare for the 10 companies.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's how I
you
work.
might be a good match, but, I mean, during the process, you might find out you're not a good
Yeah,
match.
very well could be.
And see, if you're so desperate, I think that makes you more nervous. If you're just, oh, I gotta have this job.
You
you
know,
know.
and that's a point
I think
that
that's
you'll have to
right.
deal with.
I think
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
I think you're right, because I went through that too. I know you're right. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I went through after 18 months of being unemployed. Okay, so I do think you're right, and I know but I still had to be mentally prepared, but you're right, I was nervous, more nervous than probably if I had a job, because I know my family and our livelihood as the provider, for the most part for my family, depended on it. You know, and I know you're right. And I don't remember you being right because I'm going to forget those times, but you are correct.
I mean, part of it's trusting God, because if you think God, in the back of your mind, if you think God's really not helping you, then all of the burden is on you. to get the
And you're
job.
right, and that's where God comes in, because you need to lift that up to the Lord. But you know what? I lift it up to the Lord, and I love the Lord, but after 18 months, you start to wonder. And that's the other side, by the way. That's not the Lord. And just as part of this journey, as I tell people continuously, if you think the journey is like this, you are very wrong. The journey is just like this. Okay? And when it gets down here, you know, you always need to rely on God, but man, you got to read your Bible. You got to pick yourself up, because you can hit the schneid. There's people that, and I say this as well, and I mean it, and it's true, there are members of this group that have given up. Not this group, but of our ministry. 100, what do we have, like 130 members, Jeff? I think 135 now. There's members of our group that have given up and they're sitting home. They're giving up. Okay?
Can I give a comment? Like, and I understand that it's like, you know, each interview that you're going through and then you didn't get a job, they kind of, you know, wearing out your self-esteem a little bit, but it's like, you don't want to kind of do all, you know, attack all strategies, like, oh, I was going to go through all the interview knowing that that job is not for you. It's like, you know, our brain, our self-esteem is built on that. It's like, oh my God, you know, I went through like 5, you know, like we tend to put in numbers. I went through like 10, 15, and whatever, you name it. It's like, I didn't get a job. It's like, you know, we kind of focus on that number so much, they kind of, you know, went you out. So you want to make sure that
You're
that's
fo-
And that's part of the balance.
You're focusing on the no
Yeah, then, yeah,
instead of the yes that's coming.
yeah.
Every time you get a no, you're closer to the yes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And
like,
that's how you have to
why,
look at
God,
it.
why? 20 no's, why? You know?
Yeah, and
20
that,
no's, why?
don't concentrate on the no's.
Yeah.
I just say, Lord, those are yours. I don't care about that anymore.
That just means that's not, and I know this is not an
That's
easy-
hard. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not an easy concept to understand, but at the end of the day, the reason you got the no is because that's not where the Lord wants you. That's the truth. I got a lot of no's, but I think he got tired of hearing me cry about it, so he finally said yes. He said, "Okay, I'll put you at West Corporation. You're not done with me yet, family. You're just getting into the woods again." God bless you, though. He's great. He has a great sense of humor, by the way. If you don't think so, he really does. The Lord has a very good sense of humor, and I'm not kidding you.
He does.
Mike, when you say that you aren't a motivational speaker,
Excuse
you might
me?
be a spiritual advisor for this group, whatever.
I didn't quite understand that. Went over my head.
No, last year you were like, I can be a spiritual advisor for this group. You just get in town. You thought you did. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you, Miss Beebe. I appreciate it. Ah, I got a fan in here. I'll give my autograph if it's over.
Remember, my mom still in this. So.
Well, hey, take it easy. All right. Any other comments?
Well,
Did we get
there's-
this one pretty hard?
It does say to have a good firm handshake. Pretty much every time I've ever gotten interviewed, they're like, "Oh, hey, that's a good handshake," and I always mention that I got it in the world of construction. You know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You have to have a firm. You have to have a firm grip when you're hauling block. You know.
I don't know if I'd have the firmest grip in the world. I feel like the dead fish. How you doing?
Electricians have a farmer's grip.
Well, what about eye contact?
Yeah, eye contact,
What about eye contact?
absolutely.
What, any thoughts on eye contact?
I've always heard that you wanna not have too much, but not too little. You want to establish eye contact.
Yeah, where is the person?
Well, what's that mean? Too much, too little? What, I mean, I'm trying to figure that one out. What is that? Can you have too much eye contact?
Oh, yeah, they'll feel like you're staring.
Really?
Yeah. So, especially if you're in like a two-person interview,
Yeah.
you got to switch between the two of them. Now, if one person asks a question, you sort of concentrate on them, but that doesn't mean you don't look over to the other person, because you want to read their reaction as well. You want to see the reactions.
So you gotta have, I mean, so, but wait, I gotta back up. You're in an interview, and I'm hearing that too much eye contact is not a good thing. Is that what I heard, or am I wrong?
Only because the other person can be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
because they have a hang
Do
on.
you want to look at them the whole time you're talking, and not necessarily the whole time?
You know, my wife says I have a bad habit that I look away from people when I'm talking, and I think that's you're gonna get mad at me, the Midwest culture. I don't think a lot of Midwesterners really want to see you face to face. I'm not kidding you, and I'm very serious about this. But Easterners, yeah, look at me. They're a different breed, but they want to see you face to face. They want to see what you're made of.
Well, sometimes it's a gender issue, and I work with international.
Okay,
I
all
work with
right.
international students, and the men with the women, I mean, we practice handshakes, and I make the guys look at me, and I emphasize, you gotta look at me. I'm a
Interesting.
woman, you're a man, you look at me.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Look me in the
there's a
eye.
lot of, and parts of the country, there's differences.
No, I'm okay with the differences. I'm not trying to, I'm just telling you, you're right. There's different cultures and, no, that's interesting. It could be, you're right, it could be misconstrued even maybe on anyone.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the Navajo actually believe that it's rude to look someone in the eye.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't look anybody in the eye in the Midwest. Not sure. All right. Any other comments about introduction? Eye contact, by the way, is important. I'm not saying overdo it, but it is important. You've got to get, as one of your goals, to get that person to buy into you. All right? And I think eye contact is a good way to do that. Don't overdo it, I agree, but I think it's a key component of the interview. If you're asking me a question, Miss Beebe, instead of knitting, kidding you, and I'm like this all the time, I can't bond with you. I can't, there's nothing there. There's no, even on an interview, there's got to be a spark. Remember, I believe half of interviews, or half of the process is building a relationship with that person, and vice versa. Okay? Getting to know that person, and vice versa. They want to see you. They don't want to see a fake you. They want to see a real you. So even as they're asking those questions, even as you're responding to those questions, it's all about relationships. Who told us? So one of our professional one of our professional speakers, I thought they said 50% of the interview was building a relationship up with each other, to get to know you, to open up. They want to know more than, okay, here's a question, how are you going to answer it? Yes, that's a part of it, but the other half is, let me get to know you. I'm going to work with you. In some cases, I'll work with you more than you're going to be with your family, and that's the truth. Let me get to know you. Yes,
I
ma'am.
had an interview a couple of weeks ago with the sewer department, and I had a personal story. I think if you have a personal story to tell before you go in, because when I was a kid, my dad let me go down in the sewers, and we lived on a corner. And
Okay.
so I just told him that little story. I said I have a positive image of sewers, and I told him why.
No, I like it.
It was a good interview.
I like it. That's good. That's good. You hit it off in some way from a relationship, if I can spit it out correctly, perspective. Hit it off. Let them see you. In between all the questions, they got to see you. Peel it back. Peel it back. All right. Presentation.
Presentation. When asked questions, always listen to their questions carefully. If you don't understand any question, ask them to clarify the question. Now, when they ask you the question, be honest and say so, but do offer to get back to them with the answer later and you get back to them.
All right. Questions, comments?
I don't think I've ever told someone that I'd get back to them later.
I have.
Did it work?
Well, as far as getting the job, no, but I have. I said, I really don't know that. I'll have to look that up. I'll get back to you. And I did.
How did you get back to them?
Sent them an email.
Okay.
But that was covertly found too, because I didn't get their email address, but I used the technique to knew the name, the email naming schema, and I just created it.
Did you get a response back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she thanked
Okay.
me.
Here's the deal.
Thanks.
I look at it a little differently than Jeff looks at it. If the question comes, and I mean, we've all been asked this, I think. Give me a few of your strengths. Give me a few of your weaknesses. If you tell them, I don't have a weakness, you're not prepared for the interview, you should get the job. I'm telling you that.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the most frequently and key questions to be prepared for. I'm having challenges with my P's tonight.
Yeah. No, what I was referring to is not so much that kind of question.
Yeah, but this is where I'm going, because
Yeah.
that may not be, I understand
Yeah.
what you did and why you did it.
Yeah,
I
that
get
was a question specific on the industry, and I didn't
Right.
have an
Exactly.
answer. Okay? But as far as you're right, strengths and weaknesses, you better come up with a weakness and figure out, okay, I've identified this, and this is what I'm doing to overcome it.
In other words, here's my weaknesses, is exactly right. Here's a weakness, but here's what I've done to turn it into I won't say a negative to a positive, but kind of like that. I was bad in this area. Let's say not bad, but that's a bad choice of word. I was weak in this area, but here's what I did. As Jeff just said exactly, here's what I did to overcome it. For me, if somebody asked me, hey, how is your public speaking capabilities? At one point, they weren't that great. But you know what I did? I don't mind saying it. It's a little different verbiage used. But, here's what I took the Toastmasters class. And now I'm a much improved public speaker. Those kinds of things. That's a good example. And there's other examples. Well, my math skills aren't the strongest. Now, depending on if you're going for an accounting position, I wouldn't say that.
No.
My math skills. But here's what I took a class at Bellevue or whatever, UNO, and I've overcome a lot of that. He's exactly right. You just don't say weakness and leave it out there. You say weakness and you finish it off. You turn it into a positive for the interviewer. Because you know what that says? They took the initiative. They know this is an area they had to work on, and they worked on it. I love seeing that. As a hiring manager, I love seeing that. It says a lot about you, the person. It says a lot about how you'll fit into the organization and the culture of the organization. It goes a long way. Any feedback? Any other questions about presentation? How many people jump at a question? How many people don't listen to the question? Yours truly does. Don't listen to the question fully and just respond. I'm a culprit. It's that East Coast mentality. I'm just like running 100 miles an hour. I'm anticipating what they're going to say, which is wrong. And I end up cutting them off with a response. Nobody here does that? That's that Midwest culture. That's a good thing. I know I'm guilty.
I guess I must have been a bit of a jumper sometimes myself,
Yeah.
Like, oh, you didn't finish asking the question. Oh, I should have waited. Sorry.
All right, here's a question. Just like Miss Beebe said to me. She had to repeat it earlier today. It wasn't a question, just about whatever it was. I forgot already. But what I'm saying to you, if you don't understand the question, what are you going to say? What are you going to say?
I'm sorry. Could
Oh,
you say
I don't
it again,
understand the
please?
question. How about, can you please repeat the question?
Clarify.
Well, no, can you, yeah, clarify or repeat, what does that do? Because if I kind of think I heard something, but what it does is as I hear it again, I'm thinking, my mind's working, I'm thinking of a response to that question, okay?
Oh, so there's not an awkward pause.
Excuse me?
So there's not an awkward pause while you.
Exactly. He'll repeat it or she'll repeat it, and by them repeating it, it's common practice.
That happened to me yesterday. I had an interview, and I wasn't really quite sure where they were going, so I said, did you mean this? And then they said no, and they rephrased it and said, oh, okay.
Right. Sometimes I'll use that ploy just to give myself extra time. And I'll just say, and I've said it, can you please, if you don't mind, either clarify, I don't think I use clarify, can you please repeat the question? I may have heard it the first time, but I'm processing a response. It buys me a few more seconds to get my thoughts together. Any other questions about presentation or comments?
Something I would add is they don't talk about, like in my line of work, a lot of it hinges on your portfolio. So I'm a visual arts type thing, so you have to either bring a binder or electronic device, display your stuff, and LinkedIn, the Behance network is extremely handy because you can look at other people's portfolios and what industries you're trying to do.
Yeah? Yeah. When you answer a question, be clear when you communicate. Okay? Always be clear and concise. Do not tell the interviewer your life story. Do not get off on tangents. Stick to the question. All right? It's good to build a relationship, but also don't go overboard.
Yeah, they're not your best friend right in that interview. No.
Right. Too much information is not good in this case.
No.
Okay? So keep that in mind as you go through the interview process. All right. Who wants to read number 4? Good. You're right on the list. Frank, you're 5, so I don't want you to think you're getting off the hook. Go ahead.
Obtain information for yourself. Remember, this job interview is for your benefit also. Ask questions about the actual job requirements, benefits, and type of work that you will be expected to do. Determine if the job will fit with your educational background and career goals. Have you written down your career goals? Be prepared to take notes during the interview. This shows you came prepared. Write down all the names of the people you meet and their position. Name tags for a leg up networking, and be active in the interview process. Don't just sit there.
All right. Comments. I'm going to open this door because it gets hot in here, you know. I get all this passion. I get all like I'm jogging or something. Any comments about that? There's got to be some comments. Nobody has anything to say?
Oh, I do.
Go ahead.
Benefits and salary type stuff. Okay, so being younger on the whole, like, looking for jobs and stuff, like, I don't know, like, I know that you can look online to find out, okay, what's the average pay for this, you know, minimum, maximum, for this type of position, but, like, you don't want to say, okay, how much are you going to pay, like, the person that, or, like, what, like, it just seems really...
What interview are you talking about? You talking about a first interview?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I've mentioned benefits on the first interview.
No, you never bring it up, they bring it up.
They ask you what your salary, your previous salary, and
Yeah. Now, if they bring up the thing about salary and benefits, then the door's open. But you never bring that up.
Yeah, but some online applications,
Well, yeah.
they'll ask you, you know, what do you want
Well,
to
yeah,
say?
they'll know that. But some of the jobs that you infiltrate for, you don't fill out an online application. You go right to the hiring manager. In fact, the last 3 jobs I've interviewed for,
infiltrate.
I've never filled out an online application.
Okay, infiltrate. Are we talking like the military here? What's
It's
the
close
It's
to
the same tactic.
And we take it serious. I've got
You
the
find
numbers.
a connection-
Hold on.
go
I've
ahead.
got the numbers to back us up. We got 53 people and a lot of them infiltrated. Okay, 53 people infiltrated. They landed full-time jobs. It's not a joke. It's not funny. It's the economy today. What does infiltrate mean? Infiltrate means to get a warm handoff of your resume. Well, what's a warm handoff mean? Infiltrate means you get to, through networking, you get to get a contact on inside of that company that works there that you're looking for at a job perspective, that's willing to take your resume electronically or hand deliver it to the hiring manager and have a nice word about you, say this person will make a good fit for our company. You're applying with maybe 1,000 people. Guess what? You just go up to the top 3. That's what infiltration is. That's what warm handoff is. Warm handoff is when they take that resume, they give it to the hiring manager. That's warm handoff. When you go to a job site and you apply on the job site, that's cold handoff. Your chances of getting a job, what are they again, Jeff?
5%.
God bless you. If you want to do that, go to a job site, be one of the 5%. I hope you can get there. Not including the HR. I go to this every week, but I love it. The HR department that's overworked, under-resourced, underpaid is going to look at your resume. Give you 10 seconds. They're going to try and match you up. Oh, and before you get to HR, did I forget to tell you about Brass Ring? Brass Ring is a piece of software that's there to disqualify you. That if you don't have enough of the keywords matching with their program to Brass Ring, which is a piece of software again, that's there to disqualify you. It's not there to help you get a job, folks. Try and go through that process. That's why you infiltrate. That's why you do a warm handoff.
Yeah, you see, your resume would never even get through Brass Ring to an HR person.
Right.
That would only give you 10 seconds to actually look at your resume. That's why you need to infiltrate to the hiring manager. Build your network, find connections to infiltrate into that company.
Get it? You want to post and run? 5%. Remember that number. If you're happy with a 5% opportunity, God bless you, that's the way to go. I always tell people, the more creative you can be, the more you can think outside your box, the better opportunity you're going to have of landing a position. Yes, ma'am.
In that token, though, wouldn't that be unfair? Does it say, the hiring manager, pick up people from that he knows, go to high school with him, and, his wife friend, or, his boyfriend, like her boyfriend's friends, or, or somebody that I used to work with, because...
There's nothing wrong with that. Leverage it.
The people that are in a position, they try to fill it up.
But there's nothing wrong with that. You can be one of those people. You leverage your relationships, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, when the company has a policy, you can't do it, then all the people that you
No, there's no policy unless you're married or cousins or relatives or married. I think they do have. I think the bank may have a policy on that.
Some of the real large companies may have that.
But not a friend.
Not a
There's
friend.
no policy
friend
on
is
friend.
fine, but it's like, I'll bring my cousin, my second cousin, my third cousin.
No, that's different. There's policies that don't allow that, like Jeff said.
Because firsthand, if he's your family, it's like, I'll use him or her to get in,
Yeah, well, that's nepotism.
But what do you say?
I was curious to know,
Again, I don't know, some companies have where you can't work in the same department. Others say you can be a relative but work in a different department. At the end of the day, if it's I don't know all the policies, but at the end of the day, if it's a different department, they may be able to do a warm handoff for you. I don't know. Hey, this is my cousin, or this is, so-and-so. I mean, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but I'm telling you, the way to find a job, folks, is don't post your resume on these career sites. It's to infiltrate. Well, how do I do that? I don't have a network. I don't know anybody. LinkedIn, the best professional networking tool out there. I've got over 500 connections. You hook up with me, you already got probably, I don't know, a few million people that you can get contact with.
Do you want to give an example? I did a session with Dave just before, and you connected. I'm your first connection, right? How many people are you connected with now, or networked with?
1.4 million. I'll probably triple that. Just takes me and him.
No. He's connected to you through me.
Oh,
so he's already got your network.
Oh, that's true. He's got my network. So 1.4 million. I wonder how many I have. I'll have to check that number. No, but anyway, that's how you do it, though. That's not the point. The point is that's how you do it. That's how you network for the people who are standing here saying, I don't know how to network.
I checked your network. There's like 2 Italian people in New York.
Probably part of the mob.
Gambinos or whatever we are.
Relatives, distant.
Vito?
But you get my picture, folks. Talk to your old co-workers. Talk to your relatives. Somebody knows somebody that can help you. And how do you do that? I've got to get out of this little shell of posting my resume. I'm actually going to have to initiate something with another live person. It's true. It's true.
Is it good for you to look at the person that's hiring you before, I mean, the
Yes.
hiring manager?
Yes, and you should have your profile open so they know that it was you that looked at them.
Right.
Exactly.
Is it good for them to see?
Yes.
that stuff?
Why not? If you're proud of your profile, you're proud
You
of
should
your
be-
jobs, why not?
You're interested in the position, you're interested in finding out more about the other people.
Right.
Very good tactics.
First Data called me. Guess how they found out? They were trying to recruit me for a VP's position. You know how they found me? On LinkedIn. It works. Recruiters look at LinkedIn.
So
Now-
did you look at them?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't work for them if you paid me all the tea in China.
No, I mean, did you look at the different recruiters?
What do you mean, do I look at the recruiters?
Did you look at the recruiters for them to see that you had looked
No.
at
No, they just found them. They
They found me.
that's where, that gets back to what I
Keyword
try to
data.
teach, where I say, the job you're looking for, grab a job description.
Right.
Capture the keywords that are in there that are important in that job description. What you have as your skills and talents, put that into your summary,
Right.
into your professional headline and skills and specialties, everything that you can in your LinkedIn profile. If you've done certain things, advancements, if you've gotten any recognition, achievements at certain jobs, that goes in the description of those particular jobs. That's all important, and
Yeah,
it's
you
all
gotta be hooked up
searchable.
on LinkedIn. Jeff is right. That's critical. That's critical if you're looking for a job. If you're not hooked up on LinkedIn, or you are, but you don't know how to use it, you need to sit down with this guy one-on-one.
And what's the sweet spot, Frank? Connections.
65,
Mm-hmm,
and I've got 45.
mm-hmm.
And I've been, some people in here, I've been yourself, other people, I've been, after Jeff fired, five.
They say the critical mass is around 65, but you don't stop there.
No, you keep going, try to get 100 or
Mhm.
No, repeat that again, what got lost on?
They say the sweet spot in number of connections, where they say forms critical mass, where it really builds out a network that is usable, is about 65 connections.
Talking about like one-on-one connection, there's only one.
Right, your first level connections.
Yeah, first level.
Yeah. Now the thing is, okay, now this goes back to salesmanship 101. Joe Girard was a used car salesman during the oil embargoes back in the 1970s in Detroit, and he was selling cars like nobody else. Because he figured out that everybody knows about 250 people at a minimum. So right now you know about 250 people, and you should be able to connect with a majority of them. Not all of them are going to be on LinkedIn.
And as walking proof that this works, I got my job at the bank through a friend of mine that knows the hiring manager, or knew the hiring manager. He's still there. He's my boss. And that's how I got my job. He met with me off-site. We discussed the position. And then he said, keywords, apply through HR. Well, why? I rigged it. God bless me by then. I was getting an interview. I'll apply through HR anytime when I know I've got something not in a bag, but at least got a solid interview lined up. So after he said that was words that I'd love to hear. If you get with a hiring manager one-on-one, or and you've had a chance to talk to them, and they say apply through HR, interview time.
Yeah, I went through a job. I actually got a job one time. I went through all the process. I even accepted the offer and counter. We did the dickering as far as the offer was concerned. And I actually ended up talking to the person in HR and said, well, you want me to start on X month, X date. And this is, but I've never filled out an application. Don't you think I should do that? Oh my God, they can't even give you an offer unless you filled out an application. I'd gotten through the process without even filling out an application.
Yeah.
That was with First National Bank, by the way.
You work for it still, or?
No.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of apply to HR, I mean, a lot of these places to officially have your name in the hat, you have to go that route. And then you want to establish your contact on top of it, but at least to officially be a candidate, you have to do it. And a minute ago, you were talking about brass ring. I took a few minutes the other day when I was working on my resume. I redid my resume recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through what words that brass ring likes, and there are actually more words that are there than I thought. But I also read some advice that you want to shy away from overused words. Some of them could be like dependable. I mean, your car should be dependable, your dog should be dependable, but
See,
dependable is just such a general
but
word.
that's the key.
Maybe motivating.
You don't know. You don't know what that employer is keying on. It could be the words that you just mentioned. You don't know. See, my whole point in saying this is I know I will not put my career in the hands of a piece of software, in the hands of an HR person that's overworked, under-resourced, and underpaid. I won't do it. And I didn't do it. And believe me, I needed a new job. Won't do it. I refuse to put my hands in that process.
I also heard before, for those that want to work in the private sector, the best way to get into Ford is just, to volunteer first. I'm not,
That's a good one. Volunteering is good.
Free, and that's where you network, that that you want to, I'm here to do whatever you want me to do. After 3 months or 4 months, so you heard, this open.
No, perfect. Great answer. Great way to get your foot in the door.
I see you work. You're a good worker. I'll hire you.
That's
and
right.
Other people get hired for that for
That's right.
private sector.
We had a few people that volunteer and landed full-time jobs through their volunteering. Yeah, great way to do it. Great way to do it. Any other comments about item number 4?
If they ask the salary, you give it right back to them, or is it commensurate experience? What do you say?
No. If they ask the salary,
I had 2 first interviews, if they asked the salary.
I would say I'd have to let me think about it. I don't know. That's different than the job offering.
Can you ask them what the salary range?
I don't, Jeff. I don't bring it up. I've never brought it up on an interview, unless they initiated it. I did have an interview with First Data about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, before they turned into a bad company. And when I interviewed with them, I was taken back because on the first interview, the guy asked me a salary, and I must admit, I was not prepared for that question on the first interview. I know I probably didn't prepare well, but that took me back, and I was struggling with what the heck do I tell this guy? And he actually had to give me the answers. He said, whatever, high 90s? I said, yeah. So seriously, I said, yeah, that's fine. But I wasn't prepared because I didn't expect it on the first interview.
But you handled it right, and it worked for you.
Yeah, it did. I probably would have gotten the job. You know why I didn't get that job? And I'm actually glad, and thank you, Lord, for not putting me there. The reason I didn't get the job is because he hired a buddy of his. I found out because my friend that's been there 20 years kind of has the scoop on what goes on in that place. Infiltrate. How do you think I got my resume to him? My buddy, who works down the hall from the hiring manager. Pretty interesting, huh? Yes, ma'am. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you. Let's say they ask what your salary is now. Can you not tell them? Let's say the position is paying more than what you're making now, and then they think, oh, I could pay you less.
I think that's one of the things they can validate. Can't they validate salary through your old employer, or even your current if you still? No, they don't. They only ask after they give you the job, don't they?
Generally, when they do reference checks with employers.
It's after you.
Yeah, past employers.
But they'll find out if you're lying.
Yeah.
So.
They just ask, employment dates. And that's about all the other countries
So they don't have
give.
salary?
Generally not.
Okay, then you don't have to. I guess I'm hearing from this guy that you don't have to do that.
Well, if they ask you, I know, Frank, when you got asked those questions, was that like one of the first questions in the interview?
Yeah, it was when the top.
They're trying to qualify right away, okay? Which means that they will spend either, 15 minutes with you or an hour.
Yeah, I have people ask
And
that.
when they start asking about your current salary, they says, well, this is what I make now, but I don't know how that will actually apply to this position which I'm applying for because this position has different responsibilities. Okay? Which may require more, of my abilities or whatever. I don't know how you want to phrase that.
Yeah.
But, when somebody asks you a question like salary up front, what are you expecting, for this position? I said, well, I don't know what the position all entails. I think that really is based on, what my expectations will be based upon what the duties and responsibilities are for this position. Because you can walk into a company and not know if you're going to have people reporting to you. You walk into an interview, you may not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to find that out. If you have people that are reporting to you, obviously that means you're going to end up having a little bit more of a salary because you're managing people.
I want to make sure that we answer your question or not really. I mean, if we haven't answered your question.
No, I mean, it's not like it's ever actually happened to me. Someone just mentioned it, and so then I thought about it. Wondering, you know, what that was a good response, though. That you said.
I thought they usually wouldn't ask that question, it's like unless they kind of see something in you, say, oh, you know, maybe this person would make up to the final 5 or final 10. You know, then, you know, you usually want to ask that, oh, you know, they know that you are not a good fit, right? You should say, oh, you know, when I feel like when I'm being asked that question, it's like, oh, they're considering me as I'm in the few top, right?
Depends upon when they ask you.
Yeah,
I
it
guess.
depends. He may be right. They may want to qualify you and just say, you're overpaid. You're not in our pay range. Goodbye. And they'll spend 10 minutes with you.
But, you know, I can just say, spit out the ranges, like, you know, I know this is what the job market pays.
You can do that.
Or save, you know.
But then they'll just say, hey, we underpay people if you're West Corporation. Goodbye.
I don't think they're bad. I worked with them for a while.
Good. God bless you.
Last week I had a recruiter call me back and ask me if I was willing to work for a lower salary than what I asked for in my application.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting, huh?
You say yes?
Yeah, I told him this. I'm still waiting to hear back from him.
Okay.
No, better than nothing.
No, I agree. Yes, sir.
You spoke about West Corporation some. I've only been in the group a short time, but there's a guy that I work with, actually over at First Data. That's what I have right now while I'm looking for something else. But there's a guy I worked there that had worked at West Corporation.
Bet you has great things to say about it.
He said that they were a really great company before, and then they got bought out, and like in a short time, they just wiped out some.
How long was he there?
I never heard of
I was
it.
there 5.5 years. I saw these people become millionaires 3 times over. Now some are going for number 4. Or is it 3? Let's see. Public to private, stay on bonuses, millions of dollars. Trying to go public, which they think they're going to do now for sure, either the end of this year or beginning of next year. So you count how many times they became
Is that to do
millionaires.
with the change of the CEO? I don't know. That's what I heard.
Excuse me?
Is that to do with the change of the CEO?
They still have the same CEO for 5.5, 6 years now. His name is
Financial,
Parker.
something like that.
No, they have a guy named Paul Melnick who's been there probably about 5 years. Indirectly, he's my boss. Thank God I couldn't work for anybody like that. But I'm getting off track. I don't want to get off track about Wes. Let's get back on key. Yes.
On some of these applications, they're asking for what your salary was or hourly was for jobs, two jobs back, or the last job, or whatever. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to leave that blank?
Oh, on the application as you apply? Depends on the company. They may just X you. They can do that if there's so many applicants. If you don't fill out an application fully. Now, what do you think, Jeff? I'll divorce to my buddy.
It's one of those things where you almost have to put in your salary. Your
Sometimes they won't take
salaries.
it because it'll red mark on it, red flag it. Or
Well, if it's an online
something.
application, you won't be able to.
I had one on an application. I've done a job for, they said the last 3 jobs. And I put it on there and it comes back and goes, this is below minimum wage, please raise it. Well, we calculate, and I'm like, like, well.
You're like, well, that was minimum wage 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I hear you. All right, let's go to the final stage.
The final stage, write down all the reasons for the company to hire you. Ask if your background matches what the company is looking for. Ask if they are interviewing other people for the same position and when you can expect a decision. Ask if the interviewer wants you to call later for an update. Also ask how long it will take before they will make a decision. Don't forget to follow up. The phone call or thank you note. Clearly tell them you are interested if you are before to leave the interview.
Comments? Questions? Phone call? Thank you note? Which way are you going to go? Let me preface this. You see these articles? This guy named Lenny Laskowski wrote this article. Actually, it's an old one, 1997. but for the most part still holds true today. Lenny, I can't prove it because I haven't Googled him.
I did.
Has Lenny been unemployed a day in his life?
From what I gathered, yes.
Wow! All right, I can't use that one because a lot of the people that write these articles have never been unemployed.
I mean,
Now, Lenny's the exception, it looks like.
he was an engineer by profession, and now he is an official public speaker. So obviously he's changed careers
Yes.
for a reason. But he's had this one now for like 20-some years, though.
Good for Lenny. Well, that's good because most of the time, I
Yeah.
got some chuckles in the back there. I like that. Most of the time, these folks have not been unemployed. Trust me, a day in their life. These people that are writing these articles. I kid you not. The so-called experts, until they walk in your shoes, they have no clue what you're going through, folks.
That's like parenting experts going on with kids.
That's right. Different topic, same result. Absolutely right.
So
So the
phone-
final, hold on. Go ahead.
Phone call or thank you note?
What's that?
You didn't answer the question.
Well, I'm going to. I was getting there. I got a
okay.
little sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked today. I'm doing the sidetrack.
This is not Union Pacific. Let's get back on the track.
Wow, they are a good company to work for, though.
No. That's
All right.
you're thinking of.
Any opinions on a phone call versus a thank you note? I want to hear from you. I'm posing it to you. Yes?
Thank you, no, because I've tried phone calls, most times you don't get them, and you get voicemail.
I don't want to do a phone call because Frank's right. I want a handwritten thank you note. I want to pick out parts of that conversation that went over really well, and I want to close the deal. You're a salesperson. I want to close it in that thank you note why that person should hire you. Close the deal, people, and you can do that with your thank you note. Critical. 24 to 48 hours, I think, get it out. Handwritten. Phone calls, humbug. I have some other select names, but I won't go through it. No phone call. Come on, it's too impersonal. You just spent maybe up to an hour with somebody right here. Right here. I want to respond as if I know them right here. Write that thank you note. Get that business card. Get that address. Get the right spelling of their name. Ask for a business card. Would you mind if I please have a business card of yours?
Usually they'll say, yeah, go ahead, take it.
That's right. Nobody's going to say no to you.
They just say they don't have one with me.
Then ask them, can you spell your name and give me the address? Or you'll know the address because you got there. Just give me the spelling of your name, if you don't mind. There's always a way to work around this stuff. You think I'm going to stop here.
Ask the receptionist on your way out.
There you go. Ask the receptionist.
Question, should you also send an email then?
I don't. Maybe a follow-up email after I send the thank you card out if I haven't heard back. If you get them to commit, which is what Lenny says to do, on when they're going to fill the position, one follows the other. Thank you card is first, email a few days later, depending on how long they said they're going to fill a position or when they're going to tell you, blah, 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 blah. Then you follow up with the emails if you have their email address. I'd rather do an email than a phone call, by the way, as well. I think phone call is my last choice. I've had to make phone calls, but it's my last method, my last strategy. Anything else about the final stage?
So doing a handwritten note and then waiting a week or so, you're still within that decision window and sending an email. That wouldn't be overshooting.
No, hold on. Especially if they said I was going to have a decision in a week and it's 8 days later, I'm all over it. I'm all over it. I'm sending an email. What's up? Not like that,
Right.
What's up? Let's go have a beer tonight. What's up? All right.
You need the staff.
Jeff's not laughing. I got to take it easy, Jeff. All right. Any comments? Any additional comments before we go around with our non-new member 30 second? Yes,
One thing
Frank.
on the follow-up, try to keep a record of the whole dialogue that you have with the company. Because remember, on Tuesday, June 7th, I told you that a company had called me, and I kept keeping notes,
Uh-huh.
And then She called for interview on June 7th. I had the interview on the first one on June 10th, and at the 9th, and then on June 15th, I had a second interview. At a different place, a different manager. I sent a thank you note to the manager, and I also sent it to the recruiter who recruited me. Okay, and then I waited. That was on the 15th. On the 17th, then I contacted the recruiter the first time and asked for the job. I left a voicemail. And then I called Jeff, and 15 minutes later, she called me and offered me the job. So, and I'm supposed to start January 5th. July 5th.
So you landed, Frank.
I think so.
And you're not telling me you landed, Frank.
But I'm not there until after I land. I'm just saying.
What, did you know?
It was because I told.
I'm always glad to know about landing.
It's because I called, and then she called me back 15 minutes later.
God bless.
So I'm just saying, so just the chemistry you think you have with people.
So wait, have they made you an offer?
They told me the hours, and I brought the email. They were saying, Jeff, after the class. What's going on? And that's the thing. I think I have it. I got the fingerprints already. I had criminal background, drug screen.
Very good, Frank.
And she was in the bathroom. The lady, the recruiter, who did the drug screen. So you never know what they're gonna do yet. I mean, and then.
Excuse me?
No, I mean, they do that in nurse too. They send somebody in there, a recruiter, and they do that. I mean, you could be open. I mean,
Frank, no, Frank. I'll be praying for you, brother, because we may have landing number 54.
I hope so.
I'll be praying for you. I'll tell you, 54 people. That's a lot of people in 2 years that found jobs going through this ministry.
You think that you get with the person. And they held my resume for 3 months. So they called me.
Well, that happens. Sometimes people, the position will be closed, whatever, at the last minute, and then they'll call you out of nowhere. Well, that's not their will, that's God's will.
That's what I was thinking. I think
that's God's will. Yeah.
3 months before the first interview?
No, the interview was, the first one was June 10th.
Oh.
And then the second one was June 15th. And then the final confirmation was June 17th. And then we been emailing back and forth.
Awesome, Frank. Let me know.
I will.
I'll let Jeff know and he'll tell me.
Yeah.
I think. All right. What we traditionally do now is we go around the room. I won't commit new people. You will learn from the people that have been here a while what a 30-second elevator.